You build on it this week?
Well, first of all, we started a little bit slow. Whether that's the emotion of game one or the indecisiveness or whatever it is. I mean, we started a little slow. We've got to build on that. Against Snyder, we can't come out flat. We've got to play extremely hard, physical at the beginning. So that's probably the biggest takeaway. We've got to take care of the ball on the offensive side. We had 2 turnovers. We got to eliminate those turnovers. Defensively, I thought we were very sound against the run. Got to continue to play physical up front. Got to control the line of scrimmage. Snyder's going to want to run the football, and they're very good at on the offensive line. So we've got to be better, up front than we were last week.
This is an SAC championship type of game, so obviously last week, Bishop Luers had won a share of the victory bell with you guys last year, so it kind of felt like that in week 1. It's even more so in week 2. How do you keep these guys even keel, level-headed, and ready to rock and roll on Friday?
Well, you got to win the moment. Today we're concerned with Wednesday. We're concerned about, being the best that we can during our indie period and our team period today, and continue to be better every day, 1% better every day. And that's always the mantra. And so we don't look at Friday night on Wednesday. We're concerning ourselves with, what we need to do, how are we compared to where we were yesterday, playing fast, playing physical, playing with great emotion all the time. And you can't look further than that. When you start looking ahead, days ahead, then the same thing's going to happen throughout the season. You're going to look at week 6, when you're in week 2. So, we always talk about winning the moment. And the moment is where I'm at right now.
You mentioned winning the line of scrimmage. What are your biggest concerns against Snyder, and what are some of the things you're working on this week to get prepared for the things that they do well to counter those on Friday?
Well, first of all, offensively, their offensive line is extremely well coached, and they're going to pull guards, and tackles at times, and get up to the linebackers, and they're going to double team at the point of attack. All those things. We've got to be physical. We've got to defeat double teams. We've got to play over the top. We can't let, pulling linemen get up to the linebackers. And so all of those things, are our scheme. We've got to understand their scheme and be able to play physical and fast.
Switching gears a little bit, this will be the first home game of the season, the first home game for Carroll since Owen passed away. I know that obviously there's going to be the orange T-shirts in the stands. There's going to be some announcements. What do you expect that night to be like? Because obviously he's going to be, especially at the beginning of the game, he's going to be on their mind, on your mind, and it's going to be a big part of the atmosphere and the feel for Friday night.
Yeah, Owen's on our mind every day. He is. And it's going to be an emotional time. There were moments on Friday night last week, even though we're on the road, that were emotional moments. There's going to be moments, here on home, first home game, that's going to be emotional moments, that he should be here, that he could have been here, that he could have been playing, that he should have been playing. All of those things weigh heavily on your heart. Thinking about the family, they weigh heavy on your heart. And all we can do is continue to play hard, dedicate everything that we do for him and continue to play every moment for him.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Nope, appreciate everything you do. Thanks very much.
Yeah, take a look at this week. Luers is obviously a big game, but because you guys won that in a definitive fashion, it makes this game even bigger. So what's the mentality of this team heading into a game like this, of this magnitude here in week 2?
Obviously we share the bell with Snyder being the third leg of that. And, it comes down to if we want to keep the bell, this is the game that we have to win. And this is that game that's probably going to be the most heated. Other than probably Homestead, stuff like that. So, yeah, we have a pretty good mentality coming into this. Just be intense, play with a lot of heart, especially because this week's for O. Every week's for O, but this week especially. So we're ready and ready to show them what we got.
When you take a look at a 42-point effort in week 1, I know that numbers-wise that's pretty impressive, but Coach was saying you guys need to get off to a better start offensively. So what are some of the things you need to do to improve offensively this week going up against a defense that is historically as solid as Snyder's?
Yeah, just start off early, give Jimmy time to settle in. He did a great job last week in his first start. It took him a little while, but once we got going, it was pretty smooth sailing from there. So Snyder's defense is tough. They are every year. We got a nice little scheme planned out for them. Just stick to what we stick to our keys and execute everything well.
You mentioned Owen already. He's a classmate of yours. I don't know. Were you good friends with him?
Friends, yeah.
So what does this game mean? Obviously, every time you hit the field, there's going to be some emotion because you wish he was there with you. But first home game, what are the emotions going to be like? Because it sounds like there's a lot planned to honor his memory Friday.
Everybody's going to be out in orange, which is the color for leukemia. So that'll be nice to see. Nice to see everybody out there supporting. This is a community. Our community is huge, and he had a huge impact on our community. So it'll be nice to see everybody come out and support him and honor his name. And even Snyder's doing something nice, donating money to his foundation. So that's appreciated, and everybody knows he's going to be on all of our minds.
As a friend of his, what is it like to get out there your senior season? I mean, everybody, high school football players gear up for their senior season. What is it like to go out there and not have your buddy out there with you?
He is the one I wish who was throwing me the ball, but we have a lot of guys that have stepped up. It's emotional. It's been rough. We took his jersey out to the captain's meeting because he would be there with us because he was our leader. He was our captain. He'll be our QB1 forever. So, yeah, it's emotional. It's rough. It's been rough, but we're getting our feet back under us, and we know what we're playing for, and it's always for him. So that's always on our minds.
Final question: What do you wish people knew about him?
Just that he always knew what to say. He always knew what to do. He was the guy that was goofy, and he would make everybody laugh when we needed a laugh, but he would lead us when we needed a leader as well.
I guess I do have one more question. Last year, this was the game where he got to start with Jeff out, and he led you guys to a 1-point win against Snyder. Like, what do you most remember from that night? And obviously, that's got to be one of your, I would think, better memories of a guy like him.
Just the moment him and I shared after. We worked out together that entire off season coming up to that season. Worked and worked, and I told him, this is what we worked for. This is what we got, and you deserve this moment. And he took his moment and he seized it, and it was impressive. And nobody's ever going to forget that game.
How do you approach a game knowing that, man, if you want to attain your ultimate goal of winning the victory bell, this is a big game as far as those implications go?
The game plan is always the same for every week. Go out there and play our best. We got to prepare. Great teams prepare, and that's what we're doing all week, just preparing for Snyder because we know they're a tough team. So, yeah. What
do you take away from that week 1 performance that you guys can work on or maybe build on for week 2?
Our week 1 performance was kind of slow at start, but, we got our feet under us, and we started to pick up ground as the clock started running. So, we just took away that we can't be slow at the start. We got to come out firing.
Looking at Snyder's offense, what are your biggest concerns there? What are you guys going to have to do defensively to slow them down on Friday night? What are you working on?
They're a huge team of the run, so, focus is run, and we got to stop that. If we stop that, I think we're in a great position.
When you take a look at this game, obviously it's the first home game since Owen's passing. So tell me a little bit about Owen and what this coming Friday is going to be like for a guy like you.
Owen's a great guy. He was the one to care, love, and share. He was a really caring guy. I think he had an impact on our community that will always be felt. First home game is going to be really emotional for everyone, I feel like, especially because of Snyder, the one game he got to start and won for us. So, there was going to be a lot of emotions in the air.
What do you remember from that game last year? I mean, like you said, it was the one time he got to fill in for Jeff. It was one of the biggest games of the year. You come out with a 1-point victory. He leads you to a win.
I feel like that was all through his preparation and his focus alone because, he's a really competitive guy if you know him. And, he was going into that game with the mindset of, I know what I can do and I'm going to do it out there. So, he was really confident and that's what I took away.
When he passed away this summer, it happened pretty quickly. So have you had a chance to process that and really sit back and think about kind of what he meant to you? And I know kind of you're probably wrapped up in it as it was going along.
It was really, really tough and emotional for all of us. My biggest takeaway was that nothing's guaranteed and you just got to make the most of what you got.
What do you think Friday is going to be like for you, emotionally getting out there on the field? If you're a football player, you look forward to your senior season of high school pretty much from the whole time you're in high school. So not having a guy like that out there on your first home game of your senior year, what do you anticipate that to be like?
Very emotional. This whole summer has been really emotional. Not seeing that guy I used to always talk to and practice with, I feel like emotions are really going to be high up that game because, he's always waited for this in his turn. So, I'm just going to go out there and play the best I can for him and both of us.
What was your relationship like with him?
I was best friends with him, always hung around him, always that guy I could talk to.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add?
Nothing.
I appreciate it, man. I know